I'll use the box tool to put in an actual square panel in there with it whenever I get done with the strip. So I can, and you know, it's a simple process like this. It's really the hardest part is coming up with all the different strip ideas and figuring out, okay, how can I tell a joke, talk about something that is actually kind of a serious topic, which you know, I really take a lot with school bullying, for example, is one of the topics that I address in this. And I really try to bring that kind of stuff that happens on a daily basis to, you know, geez, hundreds of thousands of kids every day in the public school system and private school systems, and really try to bring that to light, because I think that's something that is very much ignored in the public, how serious it is.
What inspired you with regards to not only your comic book, but you alluded to the school bullying?
Well, I was very much bullied in school.
Okay.
And a lot of the material that I come up with for Chad the Fat Kid comes from experiences that either I had or people that I know had. And there's some very, you know, cliche things in there that we might see in all of the high school movies, you know, like getting flushed in the toilet and, you know, bullies giving you the super wedgie and stuff like that. But that stuff really actually happens. We find it funny now, but, you know, for the child who's going through it, it's traumatic. It's absolutely...
I can allude to, I know when I was a child, I don't know, you're a little bit younger than I am, but I grew up watching Johnny Sacco and his giant robot. I don't know if you remember that show at all.
I'm familiar with it.
Ultraman.
Yes, Ultraman.
Right, and I got teased about that all the time, so I kind of know where you're going.
Yeah, my artistic talents came out very early, and the kids like to tease me that I like to draw Barbies. I was the only one. But then on the secret side, they'd be like, "Hey, you want to draw a chick for me or something?" You know, they'd always be that kind of way. In fact, the only time where I really got any solace going through high school is when I actually designed the logo for the football team's T-shirts, and I did the artwork for that. And so then I kind of had a few football players that were kind of, "Hey, you know, leave them alone," you know. But that was a constant struggle for me growing up, is trying to find ways which I could survive in this element, which was basically anarchy, because the teachers didn't want to stand up. And now it's even worse. Teachers won't take a stand because they could get sued.
Right.
You know, we live in that environment
right.
now. So if you want to show the comic strip again, I do have a finished one.
Okay.
This is one that was up a few previous weeks ago when the Iron Man and the Dark Knight and the Hulk movies came out.
Right.
So I have two of the main characters here, Florian and his best friend Lyle. And they're basically kind of talking to Chad, and Chad's like goofing off, and he's got all the toys on. He's got the Hulk glove, Transformer blaster, T-shirt for Batman, and Iron Man.
Yeah, I can tell you that.
And I finished these off I'll do the balloon lettering in Illustrator, hide the drawn artwork, so now I have the line art, and if I'm doing black and white that week, I go from here. Otherwise, I can go into something like Photoshop and give it a nice spark of color, and able to do other things, like I put the Royals. I grew up in Missouri, so Royals was my baseball team.
Yeah.
And some other things. So I can do a little bit more when I bring it into color. And you know, I've got a very classic line. A lot of people like this one on that week, with him quoting the Batman.
Why so serious?
Yes.
Yeah, that's really good. Tell me about your personal favorite type of comics, and specifically in the comic, you know, maybe on the artist side, who inspires you?
Well, for me, and especially, I think art-wise in general, I've never been the type of person who would go to the museum and be flawed by a Monet or a Degas. You know, I'm the type of person who's looking up close, looking at the brushstrokes and trying to figure it all out. So I'm not necessarily impressed by a lot of work, more as I'm impressed by trying to figure out their thought process behind it and see what they did technically and physically in it. My favorite kind of stuff really is like whatever I put my money into would be Silver Age comic books, which they called the stuff back in the 1960s and 70s. Because I think the writing was just, it wasn't as serious as comics are nowadays. So for an entertainment-wise, something like that. The new stuff coming out, you've really got to look at the independent market. Marvel and DC, they've got their shtick now, where they're just basically trying to make movies and make millions of dollars off movies. And so some of their titles have kind of died out. But if you look at the independent market, and a real great place to do that is at Green Brain Comics in Dearborn. They're the ones that first put Melby Comics out on a shelf to sell. So I definitely got to give them props for that. But they specialize in having a wide range of independent books. And any interest you might have, from romance, crime drama, and noir type stuff, horror, any genre you can think of that you like something, and you can find a comic or several comics that address that. And so I try to look at whatever's new coming out in the independent market and see if there's something that really kind of sparks my interest.
We have a few minutes left in the program. I got one more question for you, and that's around Melby Girl.
Okay.
What inspired that? Who, if you could tell the audience who that is, and quickly a little bit about her.
Sure. Melby Girl, who she appears on the cover there of the first issue of comic, and
this one right here?
no, the
This
blue
one?
the one with the blue
Oh,
background.
okay.
Yeah, there you go.
We can get a shot of
That
it.
character right there is inspired by my wife. In fact,
her right there.
normally when I draw that character or put her into a situation, I'll have my wife say, okay, what would you like your dialogue to be? She's pretty much, as far as the character goes, the only character that has any real strength or superpowers. And that's one of the things I've found in my work is I really like doing strong female characters. The World of the Zombies character is another example of a strong female character. But Melby Girl, she's very crass. She's very, she's very resolute in her opinions and her ways, and she's kind of like a reserved strength. She doesn't really show it until she gets to a point where she can't take a certain situation anymore, and then you start to see that she's got like this Hulk strength almost.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so finally, if you could kind of just wrap up everything for us, specifically, where can people buy your comics, the website, and then specifically what stores?
You can go to the website, heymelby.com. You can also go to Green Brain Comics in Dearborn. They're located on Michigan Avenue, pretty much right when you get into Dearborn and Michigan Avenue. And you can also go to TJ's comic shop on 12 Mile and Ryan here locally. They have all of the books there as well. And you can always check the website. I'm always open to doing appearances at stores. And hopefully we'll have some more of those coming up, and where I can come in and do some drawings for people and tell them a little bit about the comic. And it's also an avenue for me to also tell people about Scleroderma and spread the word as far as that goes.
Real quick, because we have to get going, how much cost on does the comic books cost?
Comic books are a really affordable method of entertainment. My issues, you can get the first 2 issues for only $4 online, with like 50 cents for shipping, and then the others are about $3.50 a book.
Well, thank you. It's been a privilege for me to have you on the show, and I had a great time.
Great.
Thank you. This is Jonathan Roldan. It's been a great show, and I hope you've enjoyed it. We will see you next time. Have a good evening.